I say this at the beginning of the episode, but full disclosure, this is a little bit all over the place, this episode. There's three of us. There's Mr. Chad Widtfeldt, one of the best agents, or one of the part of one of the best agent teams that we have that does auction. But today is all about how we're going to implement a social media plan to his already existing database for passive touch points. I've got Chris on here as well. I really do believe that this is one of the more informative episodes that we've done on Rethink Real Estate. I really enjoyed getting into the nitty gritty. We basically did this as a meeting. Like I said to Chad, well, why don't we just do our regular meeting that we're going to do about how do we set this up in your business with Chris, and we do it on our podcasting platform. If we like it, we like it. If we don't, we don't. It's pretty raw, guys, but that said, that's the way that I think that you need to see this, and the way that we're going to be implementing it. We go down from the logistics of how he adds to the list all the way down to what the audience sizes are, how he's going to be doing the reach out program, what areas he wants to use, how he's going to get data for that. It's a really, really practical episode that I think you could possibly use. And if you want something like this or our help with anything like this, just reach out to us. But this is really helpful information. Hope you enjoy it. Welcome to Rethink Real Estate. My name is Ben Brady, and this is a real estate podcast aimed to deliver sales strategies, marketing tips, and business insights from industry experts and myself to build a listing-focused business for the future. Let's get into it. Folks, welcome to another episode of Rethink Real Estate. And this one has got a full disclaimer on it. It's the first time we've had two other guests that are crowding my space, first of all, here. But also, this could be a shit show. Full disclaimer, we have not done this before where there's the three of us. They'll be talking over each other. They'll be yelling. They'll be screaming. There'll be all types of things here. But Chad, welcome.
Ben, good to be here. Chris, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Okay. So today, let's frame this up, though. The reason that we've got Chad here with the Rethink Real Estate team, Chris being the marketing magician that he is, I'm going to go with that today, not Messiah. Or I called him the marketing Gandalf once. I thought that was good, Chad.
It's offensive, but it's good.
Yeah,
the white beard.
Just makes me feel old.
Well, you've got a beard. It's just a little more ginger than Gandalf.
Maybe he started ginger. We don't know. I don't know.
So
very well could have. That's a good point.
So today, the reason we've got Chad, the Zeus of real estate, as he's been asked to be called, is that we've actually been talking for a little while now with Chad about some of the marketing tactics that we're using for the reach out of auction to certain marketplaces where we've been socially targeting, we've been sending emails, we're trying to get some passive awareness through the social media channels where Chris's expertise is in that marketing element. We were talking to Chad we were talking through this with Chad in one of our conversations a little while back, and he come up with the idea of, well, how do we implement that into our business for our existing clients to be in front of them as often as possible? Because, you know, one of the things that we're doing, obviously, with Rethink Real Estate is we're generating the content needed in order to create the ads and the outreach program so that we can passively be in front of the real estate community that might want to use auction and so on and so forth. So how do you put that model in place into a traditional real estate business where you've got repeat and referral clients that you want to try and be top of mind awareness, where you don't have to put that outward reach side of things, like, yes, you're going to be making a call to them every quarter or however often you are, but how do we target them on social media so that they see all of those things? First things first is that there's content, and obviously then there's the targeting strategy. But really, first of all, it's probably understanding the client, wouldn't you say, Chris?
Yeah, 100%. So I guess the question for me to Chad would be, what does your database look like right now? You know, size, who's in it, and then how often are you guys updating that, and with what information?
I think our client list is something we probably spend the most time on updating, making sure that it's, it's pretty amazing how dialed in it is. And we spend time on it almost daily, making sure it's up to date in regards to people that we meet, making sure the address, phone number, all that stuff is correct. That's a daily activity for us and for our team, as we think that's the primary source of most of our business anyways, is from people we know and people we meet. So we've been very traditional in regards to marketing. We mailed out stuff, a couple times a month, and, heavy print, from my past. But what I realized recently is where we need to be targeting these people is online. I mean, everybody's on social media, whether people admit it or not. Everybody's on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. And I think so targeting those people that are on this database list that we have, so they're constantly seeing our content and seeing myself or Justin speaking about real estate, so that we look like we look like their resource, and we're talking about things they're interested in. That's a much better use, I'm thinking, of spending our marketing dollar in versus just sending out stuff to their house.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we're obviously trying to grow a business here. So targeting areas, we're in the Nagel Dana Point area, targeting some of those neighborhoods individually so that they're seeing this content as well. So that we're using this content to reinforce to our clients that we're their real estate go-to, and then also trying to be in front of new people so that we can grow our business. So that's my strategy, or excuse me, that's my goal. I have no idea how to do that, Chris, and that's really what I came to Ben for and said, hey, this is what I want to do. I'm willing to invest in it, time and money, but I have no idea how to do this, so please help. And that's really why I'm here today.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're trying to do two things at one time, right? You're trying to nurture your current database, the people you've already built relationships with or have had some kind of connection enough where you've got some contact information from them. And then on the other side, prospect for new business, or at least build awareness that you guys are out there as a resource to your local community. Is that correct?
It's very correct. Again, the primary being taking care of that database. And on our database, we probably have, between Justin and I, 12 to 1,300 people that we'd really want to make sure are involved on this.
Can we double click on that just quickly, Chad? I just want to double click on that point. Chris, there is a certain audience size.
Is that really something people say? I want to double click on that point.
I heard that
before. Is this like a new term you're using as a podcaster?
I heard that the other day on a podcast. I'm like, I'm ripping that off.
Wow. I want to double click. All right, well, let's double click it, man. Go.
I tried a new one also with Chris when we were on the beginning of this phone call. This might not be, this Zoom or whatever we are, podcast.
Yeah.
You may or may not like this one. But it was on a documentary, and the guy goes, well, I got called in when the excrement hit the oscillating device. Just code for shit hits the fan. I'm like,
that's good.
Oh, that's good.
That's very good. I like that.
That's good.
It's very professional sounding. So yeah, good.
So allow me to double click.
Sorry about that.
Double click.
Yep.
Is that, Chris, what audience size do you need in order to be effective on social media? Because you and I have discussed this before from an audience size perspective when we were going after certain marketplaces. So just so that somebody isn't thinking like, I've got 200 people, I could go after that. If we're just talking about the engagement of your database and the people that know you, let's talk about that for a second from an audience size perspective.
From an audience size perspective, you need Facebook recommends 1,000 as your minimum. So that's your starting base from a custom audience perspective. And a custom audience means that you're taking information that you already have somewhere, be it Chad and Justin's database, taking that information from a first name, last name, email address, and phone number. And then you can add other attributes, state, city, zip code, everything like that. But those are pretty much the bare minimum. You take that, you need 1,000 matches inside of Facebook. So that's not even just 1,000 people on that sheet or on that Excel file from that standpoint, but you actually need a little bit more than that. Like he's talking about the 1,100, because you're not going to match every single person on there because they can't find them on Facebook, or they might not have a Facebook or anything like that. So from a Facebook standpoint, you're looking at 1,000, but I would say realistically, you're probably trying to get to a few thousand, like 3,000 to 5,000 from a standpoint. And the reason for that is you want the database, or you want that list to be optimized. Not everybody on that list is going to be wanting to interact with your ads, watch them, click them, look at them. Some of them might just scroll past as fast as possible. And so those ads aren't actually getting any traction, and Facebook kind of demeans your ads. They look at them negatively from that standpoint, and you start to get terrible ad score ranks inside their system, inside their algorithm from that standpoint.
So just a question on this. I just want to just dive into this a little bit deeper. And a couple of questions that come to mind for me, and I don't know, Chad, whether or not you've got any at this point, is that for me, I automatically think that, okay, so with my database, with the people that I know, out of those 1,200, I've got an email address and a phone number for every one of those. That's a question for you, Chad, yeah? Yeah, you do?
Of course, yes.
Okay, and then from there, you've also got their property address most of the time. And then the next part of this is, Chris, what would you do in this situation? Would you, if you've got over 1,000, would you just use those? Or would you take, for example, Laguna Niguel and...
That's what I was gonna mention.
Okay, so you add that. Okay.
Yeah. So because Chad is lucky enough to be trying to go after two goals at the same time, having a small, I wouldn't say that's a small database. That's a pretty large database for a real estate agent. It's probably 5-6 times the average real estate agent. A especially because those are people that you're heavily trying to convert right now. Like,
Correct. Yes.
and from that standpoint. So what I would do is, from the general content perspective, from the stuff that could be overreaching from a content perspective for both, people out in the market as well as the people in your database, that's where I would mix the audiences together. And so I would take a custom audience like your 12, 1300, and then I would combine them with people who fit the demographic that you're searching for in a Laguna Niguel, Dana Point situation, mix them together so that you get a bigger audience for more of your broad content. But I would still only use the custom audience for more of your low hanging fruit stuff. So more of the call to action, more of the, specific stuff just for your database.
So question from me then, you've got multiple, just for my understanding of this, when you say Facebook, you mean Instagram and Facebook, because they
Correct.
Obviously do both.
Yep, they're under the Meta suite. They're together.
LinkedIn is different, and then so is TikTok, and then so is YouTube. YouTube would be Google. So if you wanted to do Google ads, you'd be doing YouTube and Google together. If you want to do TikTok, that's completely separate. Twitter's completely separate. And then
I just get overwhelmed like listening to you talk. I mean, is this? Yeah, it's just overwhelming, and that's what's so scary about for me doing it. I mean, I barely know how to turn on a computer. I don't use social media. That's why. I mean, this is just daunting.
But that's probably one of the reasons, mate. That when it comes down to it, is that Chris, and you're going to correct me if I'm wrong here, but Facebook, being Instagram and Facebook, are the safest bet for Chad, because one, the demographic of your audience is definitely probably in excess of the average age would be over 40, right?
Without
so most of those people will have Instagram. They won't be into the TikTok element of side of things, really. Okay, and then really you've got a pretty old portion of your database as well, considering the nature of the area you're in, which would be more Facebook side of things. Like my grandmother has Facebook, so that's probably where it's a safe bet, just to not overwhelm yourself in the very first degree of this, is just going down that path, right, Chris?
Yeah, so I would, no matter who's out there listening from the standpoint, I would always pick an ad platform to start with, and then you start sprinkling in and bringing other ad platforms once you figure out the first one. So I think, Chad, just what you were saying, realtors try to do too much, or just business people as a whole try to do too much. And they're like, well, I need to be on Google Ads, and I need to be on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all this stuff. And then they just wear themselves too thin, and they wear their budget too thin as well from that standpoint. So Facebook and pretty much every ad platform, LinkedIn, everything like that, they need a sizable investment to start, just to start
optimizing. Do you have any idea what that number looks like? Let's say we want to get into Facebook and Instagram at 3,000 we're up to 3,000 contacts. Well, what do you think our budget there is?
It depends from a standpoint. If you're trying to go just awareness ads, like it kind of sounds like you're trying to do, so that when you still reach out, everything's kind of a little bit easier. When you call them, and when
just a comment from me, I don't think any of this is inbound. If you got somebody that reached out to you on social media and said, "Oh, Chad, great to see you. Yes, I'd like to list my home at the moment," I don't think any of that there. All of this right now is just the passive element that when they do actually when Chad or Justin do reach out to them, or they get a piece of marketing that then is a reach out, then they feel like, oh yeah, like I've seen you guys around so much lately.
Yeah. So awareness from that.
It's just a reminder that we're there.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to be a YouTube star, make videos about people following me in my day, and
we're going to get to that. We are going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
If someone wants to videotape me taking my daily nap, I mean, they can certainly do that. But I don't think it's going to be very exciting. A day in the life.
We're gonna take Sirhan's guy, and we're gonna throw him on Laguna Beach, and
yeah, Ryan's got that covered. I'm the antithesis.
But from an awareness standpoint, it's always cheaper. So in awareness, you have no goal. So, and what I mean by that, your goal is not taking them off the Facebook platform or the Meta platform. And so Facebook looks at those as cheaper because it's content. It's putting stuff in front of people that people actually engage with on their platform. And it's not actually trying to steal them away onto your own website or anything like that. Now, granted, these awareness ads could still have a link to find out more information and to get to your website and learn more about you and stuff like that, or link to your Facebook page or anything like that. 100% those could happen, but from an awareness standpoint, it's always cheaper than having more of lead generation ads. Lead generation ads are going to cost you more money because Facebook looks at those as very, much more intertwined to a sale inside of your business. So they always charge a little bit more from that standpoint. But from a pricing standpoint, for like a campaign, I always say if you start with, per month, if you start with $1,000, like you're going to have success, like especially with the size of database that you're looking at. I would always equate it. Usually it's $1 per person in a database per month. Yeah, per
Okay.
month. And that's including reaching out to the surrounding area as well. So I always just say, if you're trying to, no matter what, target 1,200 people for an entire month consistently, then you're looking at about $1 per person. And that's just my rough number.
What do you spend at the moment, Chad? What do you spend at the moment?
On our marketing budget?
Yeah. It'd have to be $5,000 a month at least.
Yeah, we spend some money there. Yeah, I'd say it's in that range.
Okay.
And this can be coincided with, and we'll get into the content aspect of this, but this can be coincided with listing marketing as well to help your current sellers and little things like that kind of offset some costs here and there. Like we've done a lot of different things where it's not just talking about me, but it's, also talking about the listings I represent, but then it's also getting exposure for those listings. And so it kind of flirts between a bunch of different lines.
So here's a random question. So let's say I went to Ben's house and I interviewed Ben and Calista, or I interviewed with them to list their house. Could I come back to my office and add them to a target list, or is it that too individualized?
No, you 100% can, and especially, so I don't know what CRM you guys are using, the Harcourts Blue, or
correct?
Is it? Yep. So I'm not sure if there's a tie directly to Facebook through that. I would have to check with Phil or anything like that.
There's not.
Okay. But there are CRMs out there that do have that. So what you would need to do from your standpoint is you would have to have a weekly cadence of like uploading a new list. Or someone inside of your company would have to upload a new list.
Well, just to be clear, obviously, again, this just to be clear, whilst we want this to be a podcast episode, this is actually a meeting between the three of us that was going to happen anyway. Is that Emily's going to take on the responsibility of doing that, Chris?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So that would be M that would do that.
So basically what you would do is you would plop that name, and you met with Ben and Calista. You put both their names in that database list.
Yeah, for sure.
From that standpoint, grab as much information as you can individually from both of them. Hey, I just met with you guys. I would love to get, the mobile phone number for each one of you, and just in case you ever want to reach out and put you in my contact database, send you a market update, whatever it takes, whatever your spiel is to get a number. Get the number. And mobile numbers are always better if you don't want to grab email addresses, or you don't want to grab home phone numbers. Like mobile phone number, I would say, is always your top priority, because most people have the Facebook mobile app on their phone, and they actually sign in on Facebook with their mobile phone number. So if you notice, next time when you go to Facebook, it gives you the option email or phone number, and you
Chad doesn't do any of that stuff. Yeah, he doesn't do any.
But so mobile phone number is your priority. I would put them both into like a Google Drive worksheet or something that's shareable to M quickly, and then M could have a cadence of uploading the new list and then deleting the old list and then adding
it was Friday or whatever. Okay, got it.
Exactly.
Because
Friday,
you do
Monday.
You do you and your team, Chad, you do expired phone calls as well. You could probably, anybody that you interact with or that you have a decent conversation with, you could probably even tick those people's information, because you've obviously got the right contact information, and add them in at the same time as well. They just go into a Google sheet that then is updated on a weekly perspective from Emily. So we just have to design that from an operation.
It's a great idea, because again, we come in contact with a lot of people on a weekly basis that may not be interested in doing something now, but we do get their full names, certainly their cell phone number, and even their email address. If we could put this list together, I could see a huge potential for, potentially creating some inbound activity.
Yep.
I would say that's a good point for a lot of realtors out there. Like, if you don't want to just enrich or supplement your current database list with an entire location, and you want to do it based on title, you want to do it based on, expired lists that you have, and anything like that, does work as well. We've had success in the past of like, hey, I really just want to target all the homes and all the people who have been on the market for more than 7 days, 7 years. Have owned their home for more than 7 years, and I want to target those people because the average time someone stays in their house is 7 years.
Sure.
So if I want to target everybody who's over that 7-year mark, and I want to get their email addresses and phone numbers and stuff like that, or even just their first name, last name, city, and state, you could probably get pretty close to targeting a lot of them and supplement your list that way.
It sounds like
it's very interesting,
but it sounds like at this point now, I'm starting to get overwhelmed, and I'm not even planning on doing this, in the sense that it's like, you could just spend so much time on this shit. Like, it's just list after list after list. Like if you think about it, the expired phone calls that you guys do, then because you're doing so many auctions and then you're getting everybody's information at the front door, anybody that you interact with from that goes into a list as well. I think that we've got to make sure that if we're just starting from the basement perspective in like just going to set the foundations of this in Chad's business from the first degree, starts off with database, and then we supplement the areas like Laguna Niguel, Mission Viejo, and the areas that he's going to be targeting and actually doing some outreach or wants to get some social awareness up in. That would be the first step, Chris. Or do we just start off, if you've got more than 1,000 people, you just start off with your previous clients?
Yeah, you can just start with your previous clients, and you can run a very small budget. The problem with having a small audience, and I didn't talk about this, is that you run into a thing called ad fatigue very quickly. And ad fatigue, for our standpoint in layman's terms, is when you see the same ad over and over and over on social media, and you stop interacting with it, and you just don't care about it anymore because you've seen the same Manscaped ad 27 times or whatever. You know what I mean? Like Blue Chew.
That's great.
Yeah. So did I. They got me. So Lawnmower 2.0 or whatever.
Beautiful. Yeah. Freshly mowed.
Anyways, off the rails. Shouldn't have mentioned those two.
No product mentions, gentlemen. We're never going to get sponsorship if you keep mentioning them for free.
I think you got a good commercial coming your way. Brought to you by Manscaped.
Exactly. And they also, Manscaped and Blue Chew are like the number one podcast supporters from an advertising standpoint. So hit us
You're
up.
welcome, man. You're welcome. Share the wealth.
Jeez.
But so ad fatigue is when you see the same ad over and over and over and you don't interact with it. That happens very quickly when you have a large budget from a monetary standpoint, but you don't have a big audience. And so the only way to counteract that is by having a lot of pieces of content, a lot. And so that you can put 5, 6, 7 ads in front of someone in a month's time. So they don't see the same ad over and over and over.
Which is probably a great segue at this point. So let's say that we're going to take some areas that Chad's going to target. We're going to get those lists. We're then also going to take the database and we're going to come up with a system in order to add people on that or update that on a weekly basis, you would suggest, Chris, with somebody like Chad's business. Okay. And then now we're going to move into the content sector of things, because it's all good and well to plan on targeting people, but tiled ads and just silly stuff like that is just not working anymore. Content, I think, Chad, I'm going to suggest this and you're going to talk about this. Can you give me your general feelings around the factor of that? Because let's face it, we're not getting Justin in front of a camera anytime soon. And if he was willing to do that, we'd ask him not to. Is that at the end of the day, it's a daunting sort of task to sort of endeavor on, because one, you're going to do this thing and it's such a public not failure, but it's a public thing when you stop, that it becomes so, it makes people so aware when you're not consistent. So what are we talking about from a content perspective, Chris? If we're going to take Chad's sort of areas and his database, and we're not going to want ad fatigue, we're going to spend, $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 a month targeting 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 people. What are we talking about from a content cadence perspective? Forget what we're saying, just how much.
And I just want to jump on that because you made that point, Ben. I apologize for cutting you off, Chris. But I think that's the biggest, I don't know, fear, for lack of better words. I mean, I've done a couple of videos. I tried to do some videos in the past. It took me like 43 takes. I'm really embarrassed to my shiny forehead. I mean, the thing is huge. So I start being self-conscious of that. When you're putting yourself out there, it's just a horrible, miserable feeling. I tried to do some car stuff, and then I realized how long my head is, and I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm putting that on there. I go home and ask my wife, do I have as big a head as I think I do? And she's like, yeah, you have an enormous head, but, and she had complimentary things to say. So it's just the thought of and Ryan Serhant, I mean, I know you can't swear, but fuck that guy, man. He looks so good every time he does one. Everything is sculpted perfectly. Every video he does, he looks like, I want to marry the guy. And when I'm putting a camera in front of my face, I have the exact opposite reaction. So
we've just had everybody leave the podcast. They've all gone to YouTube to get a look at this warlock of a head.
You got to see this thing. I mean, it's a true marvel. I mean, I measured it from here to here once. I mean, it's extraordinary. And heaven forbid I start losing my freaking hair. It's going to be a disaster. I mean, yeah, at least you have a nicely shaped head, Chris.
No,
it's nice and round. I mean, it's perfectly shaped. This fucking thing is.
This is so good.
Chad, you have kids. I'm assuming your big head conversation happen with your wife a long time ago and just
no,
revisiting
I mean,
it?
again, she finds me somewhat attractive somehow. I don't know why.
She's
And
a
luckily, my
that woman.
kids are the cutest things in the world. They have little small heads like Ben. So
She's a saint. She's a saint. That woman. I just need to put that out there. Okay.
everybody that knows me knows that she must be a saint. We can move on from there.
So let's talk about the imperfection though. Like Chris,
my forehead or what?
no, that's a too big a conversation, my friend. But I guess that the part that I struggle with, just from a content creator perspective, is that one, I struggled with the perspective, first of all, of thinking that anybody wanted to listen to anything that I want to say, and that still is a daily struggle for me. It still makes me. It's actually bizarre to me that we get as many people as what we ultimately do that listen to us and watch us and all of that different stuff. The second element is that I was a perfectionist as well, and Chris got very angry with me in the first 6 months of us doing this chat. Is that, I had to be in this studio to film a video and all this type of stuff. But then I've got to be honest, it wasn't the matter of the imperfections or anything that got me eventually, is that because over time you will get less perfect about it. Like for example, if we use Ryan Serhan, I just saw him on social the other day where he was in Greece and he was just a shit show, which, he just needed to put content up and ultimately he did. And you get less worried about that. It's not so much, I think that the more that you try and do, the less perfect you then think about it being. But
Fair enough.
but the thing that really gets me is the volume of it that you need. Now, granted, we're doing 2 podcasts a week. We are trying to churn it out, right? And I just got really, I've given up on the Candid shit because it just takes too much time thinking about it on a daily basis.
Okay.
That's the part that really bothers me. So that's where possibly, if you're not running a podcast, right, where you're chopping up all of that little content and we're using it from a shorts perspective on a regular basis, which really I'm doing an injustice to Chris, because him chopping that up, all of our content is basically the same. It's just different speakers, but it's basically the same, which people will flick and scroll past that really quickly because they're like, I've already seen this. Whereas the more stuff that you do in different locations and with houses and all of that stuff, I think could be really, really beneficial. It's still a very, very daunting element though. So Chris, I'll let you chime in here.
It is. I think we're talking about this a little bit from an organic standpoint, more than we're talking about from an ad perspective. And Ben, you mentioned like the moment you stop doing this, people are going to notice and it doesn't look consistent and all that stuff. When it comes to an advertising perspective, if we're just talking about creating content for ads, it's completely different than creating contents for organic, because nobody's going to notice when you stop running ads in front of them. They might a little bit, like your database will notice, but the outside public, they're not going to see those ads.
Are we talking about ads here, or this? I don't understand. Are we talking about this? What we're talking about is ads.
Yes. So from an ads perspective, but what Ben was kind of getting into is all the reels and all the shorts and stuff like that we've been chopping up. Those kind of flirt between ads and organic. And so it kind of goes back and forth from those standpoint.
You're not paying to put those out there.
No. So we put those out there from an organic standpoint, and we have to be very, very consistent from an organic perspective to get more and more reach every single month, so that we don't have to pay a lot. And I would say that's your end goal. Like, look at that as like, we're going to pay to start, and then end goal would be I'm just creating so much organic that I don't actually need to do a lot of paid from that perspective. Because
going back to our friend Ryan, see it, whatever.
Exactly.
He's not paying for those. He's just putting that stuff out, and he's got a huge audience.
If you see, he does put some ads out, and his ads that he puts out are more for like his classes and his training and his sales training and stuff like that. And you'll notice that those are ads, and they're great. They're great ads. But the stuff that he's putting out in Greece, and with shirt off, and he looks ripped. Like those are not ads. Those are not ads from that.
Everybody uses Manscaped 4.0. Buy it for now. $19.99.
He's probably got the latest version. He's probably got like a 10.0 at this point, and probably a lot of testosterone injected.
Unbelievable
at this point.
What a
But
man.
anyways,
sorry.
But
I hope you can edit the shit out of this, Chris.
Just leave it all in. Your love for him. So from that perspective, from an ads perspective, I would say you're looking at trying to create enough content for probably 6 to 10 different ads per month with that audience size. I would look at that. So usually what I do is I usually
Chris,
say,
sorry, can I ask? Sorry, mate, you are getting interrupted left and right here. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Is that but let's say when I film an ad, like I'm just thinking, Chad, you've just listed a beautiful property in Laguna Niguel recently that's up for auction. Go and do a walkthrough of that though in a sped up version. Now that can be content that just goes
Correct.
on your social media, but then you can turn that into an ad as well, correct?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
And so that's where we're flirting this line a lot, where it's going to be, it would be organic, but it also could be an ad at that point. So
Okay.
if you do think of that from that standpoint, you're not kind of kicking off a daily cadence. Like, you don't have to create content every single day. If you could and you have the time, that's great. But if you are only looking at it as like, I need to get a video out every 3 days, and that's my starting base, that's enough from an advertising perspective. If you're looking at it as like each one of these are going to be an ad, and you're going to get enough reach and enough push with it, because you're going to be spending the money behind it to then put like a propeller behind it at that point.
Now, I've got another question here that I want to just throw out here, and I'm just taking us down another rabbit hole, and we're all over the place at the moment, folks, so forgive us, but I think this is great, is that, because I know what Chad's thinking, and Chad, you're going to just deny this to make me look like an idiot, but I know what he's thinking. He's like, fuck this, I'm not going to do this on a daily basis, I'm not going to, like, this is just, it's a lot. At what point, like does he hire somebody, Chris? Like, at the moment, he's like, I'm just gonna throw money at the situation
to do this job, because I am not doing it.
He's gonna point the money gun at it. He's good at that.
Yes,
Is that, but like realistically though, at the moment though, with 1,200 people on the database and this not being his primary outreach program, this doesn't require somebody to be employed, apart from maybe just some of the editing and maybe some of just the uploading side of it. Like, it doesn't require somebody that's going out shooting the content for the Green Group Real Estate.
No, and you already have a lot of that content in my minds, because you're already hiring listing photographers and listing videographers and stuff like that. So if you didn't want to go be in your car and show your head, you could easily just turn around and you can use some of the stuff for like a recent sales campaign or a recent success campaign in your local neighborhood, or look at the offer that we got this, and through this unique method, let me use my voice and talk over this, or even just use an AI voice or anything like that. There's a lot of different ways that you could do content.
So just thinking about this then, okay, just to simplify it, to give a really good foundational base for Chad, let's say like he's going to invest in marketing for a property that he lists in 123 Smith Street in Laguna Niguel anyway. Yep. So he should actually look at doing video, right? And getting his face in that video quickly, like like doing a video per listing, because then that'll double up and chopped up as ads. Then second to that, maybe just to start off with targeting some of those marketplaces and whatever it is, and also for the people in your database that live in those areas, maybe you hire somebody that you go around, you talk about, the restaurants in Mission Viejo and the parks in Aliso Viejo and the parks and the schools in Laguna Niguel, and you do these individual videos in the area, and you do it over a couple of month period, and then you take that content, you get it all chopped up, and then that'll give you content for 12 months, maybe, Chris. If you're trying to, all I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to give the people that can't afford to employ somebody to help them do this. Yep. I'm trying to give people that are lazy and a way out as well, that can't do this on a consistent basis, or maybe just don't have the mental tenacity to continue to think about it all the time. Are those exploits that they could do per listing and per area, and then just have it all chopped up and then start the ad campaigns or content campaigns that way?
The way that I used to do listing videography and stuff was to have the agent right in the beginning just kind of introduce themselves. Hey, my name's Ben Brady. I'm in the local area. Just wanted to show you guys this brand new listing that we just put on the market. You don't have to be interested. I just thought it was a beautiful listing. Like whatever your kind of situation, your intro spiel, literally like 10 seconds right there. I would then put them in the middle for like 5 seconds. Hey, in the kitchen or whatever, once you got halfway through the listing, hey, look at this beautiful chef's kitchen, blah, 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 blah. And then I would have them say, all right, at the end, just a closing. And so I would just show the listing, the entire thing. Those were some of our most watched videos from the perspective of ads, just because people want to see what other homes look like out there, especially in their local area. So what we would do is you would usually drop a pin, put a radius around that property, and then we would just say, hey, everybody within a mile radius of this property, show this ad to. And it was cost us, $100, and we would get thousands and thousands of views, tens of thousands of views on that. And all of a sudden I'm introduced to everybody. So it's a way of me showing my latest listing, but it's also a way of me introducing myself quickly in a non-salesy way.
What do you think about this though? Like, does that also, because ideally Chad and Justin are doing open houses, like a neighbor's exclusive open, but just before the property's listed, does that take away the volume of people that then come to that to meet them face to face? Is there a trade-off in that?
No, I mean, In my opinion, no. But I mean, I guess if people feel like they've already viewed the entire house, then yeah. But I mean, you could theoretically leave out the backyard. You
Yeah.
could theoretically leave out the kitchen, and
Okay.
you can specifically leave out certain things. And at the end of it, say, "Hey, we're going to have an exclusive open house for the neighborhood. I would love to invite you in. Comment down below. 1234 State Street, and I'll send you a personal invitation. And you can come check out this beautiful backyard that I didn't have time to put in the video." Like, something as small as that will get you all the interaction in the world, and then it would get you people coming to your open house as well.
Yeah, Chad, this is Chris and I just talking back and forward on different ideas. What are you thinking at the moment? But you're out there at the moment. You're thinking of putting this in place, and one of the big things that sort of sets you off is the fact of how much work this ultimately is. Is that it is a lot of thinking about this. What are you thinking as we go through all of these ideas at the moment in the back of your mind?
So I need somebody to handle everything. I can do these videos. First of all, I just need to know what equipment I would buy if I'm just going to do it on my iPhone. Do I need one of those sticks to hold the iPhone? Like I can figure that part out. What I need from there on is I need to be able to send this video to somebody and never think about it again. And that might be different than a lot of people that understand these platforms. But I have no problem committing to the content because I do believe, one day a week I can go out and I'll probably, need to find an Emily or somebody like that to help me with that. But I just need to be able to get the content, hand it to somebody and say, do what you do with this. And if it's any more than that, it won't happen. For my team, it won't happen.
Well, just to reiterate again, is that Emily's going to be in control of your lists and your audience. And Emily is going to also be in control of the fact that you just send her videos from your phone and she chops them up and edits them in order to then put them in there. But so where I'm standing on this, I think that those two things are easy solutions. It's then like, do you need a content plan though, mate, for different shit to say on a regular basis to keep those ideas flowing? Or do you not need that? Are you creative enough just to keep that going? Because the ones that aren't creative enough, I'm saying to them, get a listing video every single time and have it chopped up. I'm saying go and get Laguna Niguel video person to follow you around, and then you can chop all that stuff up and that'll give you your content forever. Okay. Or for a long time at least. But you're creative enough to actually think about the stuff that you're going to do once a week. Is that right?
Again, maybe I'm naive, but yeah, I created when you and I when the three of us talked originally, you asked me, hey, we're not talking to you again until you came up with a content plan, which I thought was a realistic request. And so I spent time putting that together. So I have a general idea there. Of course, I would want to know, again, from Chris's expertise, what type of stuff gets the most views? Am I looking for 30-second videos, minute videos, just some of the technical stuff I don't think I would understand? Like, do you want me to sit there for 60 seconds or a minute and a half and give you a market update? Or do you want something pretty quick? Do you want to see, my kids? I mean, like just a little bit of a guidance of like, hey, what is our plan with this? What is our, what road are we taking? Is it just Chad, the real estate? Because I don't want to be a comedian. I don't want to, reinvent the wheel. I don't want to take people to the gym with me. So I just want to know what that would look like in regards to just our theme. And from there, I can get creative.
There's two things that I want to jump on real quick is we're talking about a little bit of like quality of ads before of like, listing videos and everything like that and all that stuff. And you were talking about what should I buy and all that stuff. The uglier the ads, the better they're performing right now, which is amazing for realtors out there.
Yeah.
The ugliest ads out there are the most realist ads, and all these companies are now gravitating towards ugly ads. So eventually it's gonna turn off and it's gonna go back to the more buttoned up. It's kind of like cyclical, like in a sense of like ugly ads work and then really buttoned up ads work, and it goes back and forth from that standpoint. Right now we're living in the age, and it's probably for the next 5 years, of very ugly ads. People want to see, a half-eaten pizza box from Pizza Hut, and then they write a message on the top of the pizza box and stuff like that. And they snap a photo with their iPhone and they put it up as a sponsored video. Like that's literally as raw and cheap. And you'll start to notice this now when you see ads. You'll start seeing brands and stuff like that it doesn't look like they paid for studio time to show you this cool ad. It looks like they had their kid take out, new sippy cup or something like that. Now they're sipping out of it and then they throw it everywhere. Like little things like that will be the ads that you're seeing. So I would say the uglier the ads, the better. And so it's as raw as, say someone's signing,
I was going to say, give us some real estate examples.
Yeah. So say someone's signing the sale agreement or something like that. They're accepting an offer on their home. You just turn around and say, hey, I'm here with Bob. Bob's over here signing, this offer. Like, I don't know. Bob
He's
was the first thing that came
terrified.
to
No,
mind. Yeah.
this is let's be honest. You're terrible. I would fucking hate that. I wouldn't do it. I would not do that with Bob. Like, give us a
I
better
know.
example than that. Like, maybe you just.
I think it's a great example.
I hear what he's saying. I mean, again, it resonates. It's just, it's daunting to say the least. It's just daunting. But
See,
it's not,
I'd never be able to include. I'd be out the front of a house about to show it and be like, "Hey, just setting up for an open house here at 123 Smith Street. Going to be a busy day. It's hot, and I'm wearing this tie. Like whatever."
If you have a close relationship, so say,
I have some clients that are
exactly
that would love to laugh, and I could do it with. Again, it would be raw.
And what you do is you say ahead of time, hey, this is gonna be really painful, but it's gonna help me like try to market more and stuff like that, build my name. I'd love to just quick shoot the video. You don't have to say a word in it. And so just say, hey, Bob's accepting the latest offer for 1234 Smith Street. We had 17 people through the thing, and he's just in the background signing all the documents that he had to sign.
Yeah, that
Boom.
is
Now you put that up as an ad, and it's just you talking. All of a sudden, it's, hey, I helped my client. My client's in there. My client's happy. Like, Bob, give me your one word response to what you think of this offer. Amazing. But whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. And so
that does actually brings up another point. A lot of your content could be deals that you do and you close, Chad. You just turn the camera on and turn around and go, all right, closing day on 123 Smith Street. It was an auction. Yeah. We actually sold it prior to auction in an offer. Just thought you guys know another one sold by the Green Group. And then bump, you're off, and it's a right.
Literally is quick. And Emily could end it. You could chop up this video where it ends with literally a picture of the house.
I now know why. I now know why he needs a selfie stick. I now I've got it with the.
It's got to be a distance, man. I got to have room. I look better back here than I do up there. Like back here, okay, this guy's might be kind of handsome.
It does catch the light, though. It does catch the light. It catches the light here.
Guys, I need powder. Laura, my wife, put powder on my forehead once. Stop. I think I just got to do it every day.
I just talked to you about ugly ads. Like, we just need to make ugly. And everybody wants it. No, we don't want to. I'm just saying we don't want a selfie stick. We want you want it to look like you're FaceTiming someone. Like, it's very personal.
Oh, really?
FaceTime
so selfie stick would not be good. Seriously,
in my opinion, no.
Wow. Okay.
You want it to look like literally you're FaceTiming a new friend, and hey, just want to introduce myself, blah blah blah, like whatever it is from that standpoint. But people are on FaceTime
just take the
so
phone
much
from me talking and just turn it towards the house and record the house. That's how raw.
Exactly.
Or press the little button that turns the camera around, and then you.
Yeah.
See, that was a big challenge. Hey guys, if I ever become a superstar in this shit, it's gonna be ridiculous. It's gonna be amazing.
But again, I think that it's good. Like, I know that we're at the end of the episode here, but I'm going to do this in the introduction as well. I'm going to remind them that, Chad, you run a multi-million-dollar real estate business, and when I say multi-million, it's you and Justin and your team doing $2 million of GCI, selling average sale prices around. It's nothing overly extravagant. Yes, you guys do some luxury listings in excess of $15 million, but also you're doing $1 and $2 million deals and $700,000 and $800,000 deals. Like we're talking to you, someone doing several $1 million of GCI, about this content plan. At the end of the day, this is something that if someone can have buttoned up as they progress through and grow to that element, it can become, it can help them sort of propel their business forward. And we're hoping it takes you from doing $2 million a year to doing $4 million a year just by the passive nature of the touch points with the clients. But I want to go back and I want to just regroup on a few little things just for clarity as we sort of round out to the end of this. Is that first thing that we spoke about are those lists. Can I ask you, Chad, some of the key takeaways to the audiences, and then Chris, some of yours as well? Chad, what are your key takeaways with the audience element that you've sort of gotten out of having a discussion today?
From the whole entire discussion?
Yep.
I mean, the biggest takeaway is on the content side of things, is just understanding the rawness of it and the frequency of it. That's really my big takeaways are.
Yeah, but do you have any specific takeaways about the audience sizes, like the lists and the
audience sizes? Sorry, sometimes your friggin' accent, I can't understand what you're saying. Again, I know exactly what I would want to do with our 12 or 1300, database. And then I have a couple neighborhoods that we have a good presence in that would round that out to between 3,000 to 5,000, depending on cost and what we'd want to do. That's, that will be the plan that I would ask, hopefully working with you guys to get that implemented right away.
Yeah, no problem. And then from you as
Did
well.
I answer your question that time? Or
you absolutely. Yeah, you did. Yep. So that you've made sense of that. Okay. Now the platforms that we're advertising on, we've made a decision at the early stages of this episode is that it's Facebook and Instagram just for the time being until we want to get overly creative. Okay. But then but then outside of that, then we look at then the content element. How often, what are we doing, the spend of it all as well, and how much you're spending it. Is that gotten a little bit clearer for you as well?
I'm very clear on it. I mean, again, yeah, if we, yes, I mean, basically on what Chris said, we're talking $1 a person per month. So we're at the $4,000 a month spend.
Yep.
That's what I'm hearing.
Cool. And then Chris, what about you, mate? Is there anything out of this that, Chad should be thinking about as the next step? So after we've spoken about all of this, if we do what we normally do in a typical meeting, which is a little bit difficult with the cameras on and knowing that we're recording, but what are the next steps here that we need to do in order to implement this? Like, we've got Emily behind the scenes who runs, the social media element. She's going to control the lists. She's going to control the audiences, I should say. And then we probably need to come up with some operational structure of where those lists are, like in the sense of that they're in Google Sheets, so that she can constantly then pull those lists easily, or she can get access to your database, Chad, so she can constantly pull those. Then we need to look at then the sort of the content plan in order to then create the ad side of things from an ongoing basis. What are we not thinking about here, Chris?
There's two things quickly. I was just thinking in my head while you were explaining that there is a way to automate the Google Sheets to Facebook strategy, and that's using something called like Zapier or anything like that, where you could actually chat as soon as you put the person in, then it automatically sends that to a custom audience in Facebook. So that could be an advanced step for people out there who don't want to do a weekly upload or anything like that. Right. They can upload a list one time, and they can do it through Zapier, and then from there it constantly updates itself. So I would honestly teach Emily how to do that.
Okay.
That would be pretty good. So that means the moment you put someone on that sheet, then it goes over to Facebook almost instantaneously. Okay. So that would be amazing. The second thing from my standpoint, from the content perspective, is we talked about that you created a content plan and stuff like that. What I would do, and I think we said this in the previous meeting, but I would heavily rely on what are the pain points or which demographics are you trying to target, because your database is probably mixed with buyers and sellers, investors, and more passive people as well. How are you constantly staying in front of them with different pieces of content that's relevant to them? So you're never going to be able to kind of put together content that reaches everybody at the same time. And so if you talk to their pain points, so say you have a couple people in your database that never have bought a home before. So now you have first time home buyer content. If you have people who have credit issues, you have credit stuff. If you have people who are long-term homeowners, you have stuff about their home and maintenance and stuff like that. So little pieces like that can create a content plan for you, depending on who your database is and your demographic.
Okay.
Question: do I introduce myself in every video?
No. And I in listing videos and stuff like that, or videos about the neighborhood, I would be fine with it. Hey, my name's Chad. I just wanted to show you this awesome new coffee shop that opened up in Laguna Beach. Stop in, say I sent you. This is my favorite drink here. Like if you want to do something like that, that's fine. Okay. But I wouldn't say literally every video introduce yourself, because it's going to always come from your Facebook page, and so people are going to see it on there. They're going to see your name.
So say you're down at Dawson Brewery, mate, like where you like to go, like you just open it up and just be like, you'd be like, so down here at Dawson, having a quick cheeky beer on the way home, and the wife has no idea. Please don't tell her.
With the wife and kids, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean?
You weren't supposed to give up that secret, Ben.
So cheeky beer. Cheeky beer. All right, well, I've got an appointment, so I've got to go. So this has been good. I don't know that we've accomplished anything that Chad wanted to really accomplish. It's been a good episode, though. I like this. Is that either way, we'll follow up on it and we'll do all of this stuff, guys. You got any questions, throw them in the comment sections of wherever you're watching by. Reach out to Chad directly, because obviously if you're like him and you're struggling with the notion of how do you implement this, we can always help.
I have no answers, so do not reach out to me unless you just want to bitch about it, because I have nothing to give you.
Thank you, big forehead.
You. God bless you all.
So about 75% of our audience hasn't liked, followed, or subscribed to our podcast. It would mean the world to us, and it would help this podcast more than you know to expand our reach if you were to like, follow, or subscribe on any of the platforms that you're watching or listening on. Thanks again.